Okay, distance, painting, color and composition students, here we go. What you see in front of you is my example for how I am using the colors submitted by the classmates, your classmates, for this project. And I think the first thing we want to do is maybe let's get rid of this stuff off to the side because we actually don't need this as part of our composition, and hit enter. And so that's my my composition regarding our class. And I think it's pretty good. I still think it might need some work. And as we add in some of these ideas and wrinkles for how to make it more interesting or dynamic, one thing that I want to try to do is maybe just save this. And I'm going to save it at the highest setting as a JPEG. And I'm going to call this version 1. It will download to my folder. Okay, 2 seconds, close. And now actually I want to add it on. This sounds weird, I know, but I'm going to add on version 1 right here. So it just stacks. I'm going to add it to current. It's going to stack right on top. And with this, you can even play around with changing the size of some of these. Maybe I will turn it and see what happens. Maybe I'll block it down a little bit. Move it a little bit. And so there we have it. So let's say that this is my starting point for adding on some more information, some more layering and things like that. I think that to give relief from these colors, I am going to draw on some of that same unit shape, and I'm going to do it in white. It actually defaults to white right here. So I will add a new layer right here. It's going to be empty, and maybe I'll just start adding on some white. Actually, I think I might send this one all the way to the top. Add another layer here, empty, so I have some flexibility for how I want to operate. Add another one. Okay, so let's say this is my composition, and I like the way it's looking. I like how the colors are operating. I like that I'm using the same idea, those rectangles, those bands, but they're a little bit irregular, but there's enough variety and enough similarity to give it a good balance between those two extremes. So now, when I think about these compositions, they tend to look very flat. So let's add in some texture. Let me get rid of this banner here. So I've taken a couple pictures. I'm gonna browse, and I'm going to look at my bubble wrap. I took some pictures of some bubble wrap. I'm gonna add it to the current. So there's bubble wrap, and it's bigger. It's an image that's bigger than the composition I'm creating. I want to go into adjust. I'm actually gonna make it black and white. Come on, black and white, there we go. And I'm going to play around with the brightness and contrast and really push these things. I might need to move the contrast a little bit lower. Exposure a little bit brighter. And what happens if I go into now my cutting tool, remove, and here's something new that we haven't looked at before. It's actually the magic wand or the magic cutout tool. You click that, and whatever is touching the same color will be removed. Or if I was on the keep mode, it would keep it. So what's kind of cool is now I've got these really interesting moments of texture. I don't like that one. And actually, I'm going to go back into my adjust tool here and play with the brightness and contrast again. And now I will move this around. Maybe I'll actually tilt it this way. So I do like the way these circles are occurring. But if I want to go back into my tool for removing, and I can use the rectangle so that I can almost create these bands that are still happening, I think that we might get some interesting moments where the texture comes through sometimes and where the color comes through sometimes. I'm going to go again into my adjust tool here, and actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to invert this. I think it's going to show up a little bit more interestingly as an inversion. Yeah, I like that. And now I can go into this tool and make it a little bit more transparent, so I can see through the color a little bit of the bubble wrap. Come on, transparency. So now we're seeing the color come through. We can work on cutting other things out. Because if we were actually painting, I think there'd be some texture in the paint itself. So now I'm going to, I could duplicate this layer if I wanted to, like this. It does turn up darker because there was some transparency there. Go to my adjust tool, and maybe with this, I am going to rotate it in this direction. If you hold shift, it should stay on the 45-degree angle moments. And now we're starting to see some interesting things happen. And maybe this one will not be the same level of transparency. Although I'm not crazy about this diagonal, it's running right through it. So maybe I will move this again. And a lot of this, again, is about playing around and seeing what is available to you and how you're reacting to these moments. So one more thing is, I mean, I wouldn't try to load up too many of these layered textured colors that are transparent. Again, you can also put color on top of this, some of your classmates' color or your color on top of it. But I wouldn't try to introduce too many things. For example, if I wanted to add in one more texture, and these are sketch marks, and I will add it to the current. And for this, maybe I'll shrink these down. Another tip will be if I had cropped this image in the camera when I took it, I wouldn't have all this extra space, but oh well. So let's go into my adjust tool. And I'm going to make it a black and white, or I could also desaturate it. They do the same thing. And let's go to making it brighter and more contrasty, so I get some of those scratchy marks. I'm going to go back into that cutout tool, and I want to remove with the magic wand. Go back into adjust because I really want it even more scratchy. And take the brightness down. Okay, move it around a little bit. Oh, that's a happy accident, that little edge right there that's coming through. That is very rectangular. I need to make it bigger so that it goes off the page. I want you thinking about sending things off the page a little bit. Let's make this one a little bit transparent. Okay, I might go down and pick some of these colors that are underneath. See what happens if I duplicate this layer I'm going to drag this to the top of the deck. And it was transparent when I made it, but I might make it a little bit fuller color now and then delete some stuff with my cutout tool. I'm going to remove a band here. I'm going to remove this band here. Partially there. And maybe here. Okay. So that is just to get you going into what is possible with this PIXLR software. It becomes a composition of color which has a little bit more texture to it as opposed to being purely flat. So that is my demonstration for how to add a little bit more zazz to your composition regarding your favorite colors and your peers' favorite colors. So there you have it. Good luck.